James Earl Jones is an American actor. He is best known for the voice of Darth Vader in the Star Wars film series. Winner of the Honorary Academy Award for Outstanding Achievements in Cinematography. We children learned responsibility automatically. Writing can give full meaning to characters and avoid pure stereotype. So in my junior year, I switched to the drama department. If you expect someone else to guide you, you'll be lost. I mean, my people were very, very simple. They were peasant people, you know. There is not enough magic in a bloodline to forge an instant, irrevocable bond. I'd like to film a British commercial. They're better than American ones. Your own need to be shines out of any dream or creation you imagine. Acting is not about anything romantic, not even fantasy, although you do create fantasy. Speech is a very important aspect of being human. A whisper doesn't cut it. Love was just a word to me, until you came along and gave it meaning. No one asked me to be an actor, so no one owed me. There was no entitlement. I agree with my father, Albert Einstein, don't believe every quote you read on the internet. The last thing I want to be is a rich black superstar. I just want to act. I love doing commercials. Usually, they have enough money that they can take time and photograph it well. One of the hardest things in life is having words in your heart that you can't utter. People who lusted after Marilyn Monroe had no idea she stuttered. It is the secret of her sexiness, actually. I really think I ambled through a lot of my life, or ambled from one thing to the other. My youngest uncle Randy and I were the first members of our entire family to ever go to college. More and more, when I single out the person out who inspired me most, I go back to my grandfather. I knew real show business from my father, who had been an actor since he left the world of boxing. Reading was a big thing, yes. Books were a big thing. But the things that stick out were the newspapers. I don't ever want to be a sentimentalist. I prefer to be a realist. I'm not a romantic, really. In our resolve to build a better world, we seek to summon what Abraham Lincoln called the better angels of our nature. In the wintertime, in the snow country, citrus fruit was so rare, and if you got one, it was better than ambrosia. Once you begin to explain or excuse all events on racial grounds, you begin to indulge in the perilous mythology of race. Trying to make someone fall in love with you is about as pointless as trying to control who you fall in love with. We used to be shiftless and lazy, now we're fearsome and awesome. I think the black man should take pride in that. Stuttering is painful. In Sunday school, I'd try to read my lessons, and the children behind me were falling on the floor with laughter. Just so you know, there's a space that only you can fill. Just so you know, I loved you then, I guess I always will. I was as content off Broadway as I was in a big Hollywood movie, and I just try to be content wherever I am, you know. Don't you try and go through life worried if someone had liked you or not. You best make sure that they are doing right by you. You weren't going to the theater to change the world, but you had a chance to affect the world, the thinking and the feelings of the world. The world is filled with violence. Because criminals carry guns, we decent law-abiding citizens should also have guns. Otherwise, they will win and the decent people will lose. I was an adopted child of my grandparents, and I don't know how I can ever express my gratitude for that because my parents would have been a mess. I think the extent to which I have any balance at all, any mental balance, is because of being a farm kid and being raised in those isolated rural areas. When I read great literature, great drama, speeches, or sermons, I feel that the human mind has not achieved anything greater than the ability to share feelings and thoughts through language. I love to see actors work. I love to surf channels late at night and accidentally run into movies I hadn't seen before. It makes me very proud of the profession. I do not know if it is true that all actors want to direct and all directors want to act, but in 1972 I tried directing and decided I had better stick to acting. My voice is for hire. My endorsement is not for hire. I will do a voiceover, but I cannot endorse without making a different kind of commitment. My politics are very personal and subjective. When I was in New York after I left the Army, I studied for 2 years at the American Theater Wing, studied acting, which involved dance and fencing and speech classes and history of theater, all that. The goal wasn't to be a millionaire or to be a Hollywood star. That was not the goal. The goal was something about. The goal was to find the goal, but I knew where it was. So I was determined to use my last 2 years in college doing something I thought I would enjoy, which was acting. And it was probably because there was girls over in the drama school too, you know. My grandmother had the most dramatic effect on my life because she set me in one direction, and I had to go back the other direction for my sanity, and for my ability to be a social human being. Even during the rationing period, during World War II, we didn't have the anxiety that we'd starve, because we grew our own potatoes, you know. and our own hogs and our own cows and stuff, you know. I got out of the army, in my world. I came to New York, for instance, when the civil rights movement was just beginning, and that created a certain energy, a certain rumble, a certain impetus for black actors. So by the time I got to Michigan, I was a stutterer. I couldn't talk, so my first year of school was my first mute year, and then those mute years continued until I got to high school. If you live in an oppressive society, you've got to be resilient. You can't let each little thing crush you. You have to take every encounter and make yourself larger, rather than allow yourself to be diminished by it. My grandmother, though, began to prepare in her own neurotic, and I think psychotic, way to face racism. So she taught us to be racist, which is something I had to undo later when I got to Michigan, you know.